What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Today on the program, speaking of entertainment, I got Jeff Orson of Jeff Orson Music. Oh my goodness. Oh, you've heard that name. You know that name. He's out of Canada, but he's been all over this great world of ours, playing his music, putting his wares out there, and, distilling a few things here and there. But we'll talk about that in the next few minutes. Jeff Orson Music. Stick around. You're going to hear more about him. This week's shows, let's see. I have one public show, my regular Friday night gig at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yes, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. They got a full bar. The kitchen's open. Good food in the kitchen. They got 10 diamond-style professional pool tables. In fact, on Friday nights, they have a pool tournament. Yeah, so if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, come on out to the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Always a good time. Good people, good fun. Oh my goodness. I enjoy being at the Rab almost every Friday night of the year. So, any of my stalkers, if you want to find me, I'm pretty easy to find on a Friday night at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Right up on the hill. Yeah, Hippie Hill. I don't think I'm supposed to. Yeah, it's not the 70s store. In fact, it's called Not the 70s Store. That's right next door to the Rab. It says Not the 70s Store. It's on Hippie Hill. It's pretty cool. All right, that's it for the intro. On Saturday. Oh, I think I have a private event on Saturday. So unless you're invited, you cannot come. I do enjoy doing the private events, especially weddings. Oh, I enjoy being a part of people's big day. All right, that's enough intro. Let's get into it with Jeff Orson. I'm so excited. He said he wanted to use Zoom, and I'm glad he did because Zoom was pretty dang good. Yeah. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, check out the video on my YouTube, youtube.com/user/KeysDan. Zooming Jeff Orson now. Hey, there's a good-looking dude on my screen.
Dan, is that you?
It's you. It's you. I'm pointing at you. Jeff Orson in the house. What is going on, my man?
Oh, just this seemed to work pretty flawlessly. I just dialed in here and away we go. The link worked and all good, and we're on time. So awesome. How are you doing?
It's pretty good. We're talking about technology. I'm using Zoom today. Usually I do these things on Skype, but after the pandemic, people were trying to figure out how to work remotely, and they were trying to figure out what way they could see as well as hear. Because doing telephone interviews is so impersonal. At least I get to see your face and see, maybe the surroundings. I see a little bit about of the house. It's kind of got some daylight out there. It gives me some context of who you are. But, Skype came first, but Zoom ate Skype's lunch. Just the fact that it's so quick for it to turn on. I should do more Skype interviews, but I'm a cheapo and I don't want to pay for Zoom, so I only get about a half hour. So we'll probably have to do this in 2 segments. No big deal. But here we go. Jeff Orson. Man, I've been wanting to talk to you. I've had the pleasure of listening to a lot of your music. It's a lot of faith-based in there, but that latest offering, Bootleggers, it has some interesting rhyming because not a lot of things rhyme with leggers, bootleggers. But, Dan, I found some interesting.
That's the truth. I puzzled on that one for a while. That's for sure.
But just the hint for people for my loyal listener, I'll be back. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay. What rhymes with Leggers? Okay, but let's talk about you. Give the people an idea. Give my loyal listener an idea of what is a Jeff Orson.
Jeff Orson Music, the music guy, Jeff Orson. He's a guy who was into music when he was very young, and then went away from it from a long time. And sadly, he got diagnosed with cancer about 10 years ago, and survived, which is great. I'm talking to you tonight. But that took Jeff Orson Music into didn't know whether he was going to be living or dying at the time with his prognosis. So I picked up the guitar again, and I started writing some songs and playing, just to take my mind off of having cancer. You have to, all the different things that go into it, the pathology, the surgery, all those things, right? And so I started writing some songs. And then a person who was working as a custodian in the hospital heard one of my songs I was playing there, because I couldn't sleep because I had all these tubes sticking out of me and stuff. And she said, I really like your stuff. There's a place in town that you should go and play. I think people would like your music. And I thanked her very much. But at that time, with a gown on and everything, I wasn't really thinking about playing live music. But I guess it kind of stayed with me. And then kind of a few different things happened along the way. Obviously, I lived and I'm healthy, which is great. But I ended up meeting a songwriter, a couple of songwriters at a Nashville North in the round kind of a songwriters night. They came up to me after the show and said, "Hey, would like to write a song with you." And I hadn't done any of that, but long story short, they liked the song so much after we wrote it. They liked my voice, so we went to Nashville and cut the single. And the next thing we know, we ended up on the CBC, which is Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, so right across the country. And then things just kind of took off from there, and then started to get some overseas play and some play in the United States, and then got back on CBC again, and then Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and then just kind of took off from there. So this is kind of an accidental Jeff Orson country type of a thing, but I guess it was meant to be, or things might have gone different with my prognosis. But anyway, that's kind of how, obviously, we end up speaking here tonight through kind of a terrible thing, which turned out to be, so far, a very positive experience.
Jeff Orson, first of all, I'm glad you're in remission. My family's been stricken with cancer. Quite a bit of my family. My grandfather was the first one that I was cognizant of that died of cancer, lung cancer, metastasized all through his body. A smoker
Sure.
all of his life, drinker, really didn't take care of his body, but he was a strong man, for the most part. But and he fought the good fight. My goodness, he fought several years. I think he got the diagnosis back in the early 80s, and he fought it all the way to the mid to late 90s. So you could do it, But there's two schools of thought. Is it living with cancer or dying of cancer? What is your phrase of choice on that?
I think after I kind of went through that dark period and wrote a lot of sad songs and stuff that I never really released, I think it's probably living with cancer, because even when you're in remission, you never know when that can come back. Hopefully never, but sometimes it does, obviously. So I guess I'm kind of living with it. I don't let it rule my life, but I don't forget about it either, probably any day.
Oh, yeah. My mom had breast cancer. She's been on this podcast, and she talked all about it, so I don't have any qualms of talking. But she had the double mastectomy with the rebuild, and she's still going through it. I mean, but she's still living and doing great. But she was oddly enough, her third career, she went to become a nurse. She started off as, I guess, electronics, then airlines, and then her third career, all the kids were out of the house. She went to become a nurse, and she started in oncology. And this is after my grandfather had already passed away. But she wanted to help out, the people that were having cancer and see if she can help out with the treatment. It took her 6 months to get burned out of dealing with people that are just, they're dying. They're dying.
Yeah. Sure. Oh, I'm sure. Certainly during COVID and whatnot here, we had a lot of burnout during that time with our healthcare workers, and also, a lot of the stress of dealing with people who are sadly failing or are having a difficult struggle. I would imagine it takes its toll on people working within the industry. So I can understand that, sure.
I mean, both thankfully or unthankfully, there's plenty of sick people to go around. So she's able to pivot, and, she went into the ER. She did some floor nursing, some travel nursing. Sure. She ended up staying in school until I think she's a doctor of nursing, and then she finally retired. My stepdad was just, when are you going to stop going to school? Because it's never ending. But the human body, there's always things to learn about it. In fact, sure. I do some news items, and lately the last few news items have been about gene splicing and gene editing and the possibility of eradicating cancer and other diseases for sure. But I'm four square against this cancer. Can we get rid of it once and for all? I'm done with it. I'm pretty sure that I speak for a lot of people. This cancer is just no good. There's no place in this world for it. And this technology, I don't know. What do you think about the gene splicing? Are we playing God? I know you seem to be a faith-based man. Some of the songs really hit home in that respect. Give me your thoughts on any of this rambling that I've been doing right now.
I don't know. I mean, wouldn't it be great to eradicate it? Because there's so many people who are affected by it. Just with colon cancer alone, I think it's after 5 years, it's something like a 66% survival rate. So you're still losing 33% to a problem, a cancer that, if it's detected early enough, doesn't have to be fatal. Does not have to be fatal. So I guess there's still a lot of work to be done, whether it's gene therapy or specific drugs that are designed genetically, like for your own type of cancer, whatever strain that is. Wouldn't that be great not to have to worry about it? Or if you did get it, you knew that that there was a cure and that you didn't have to worry about losing your life. Of course, you're going to be sick if they have to do surgery, they have to give you drugs, whatever it is, but that you would be able to come out on the other end probably with a much better chance than 66%. I mean, that's something I would hope for.
Well, I know that this research is still in its infancy, and it looks promising, and some people are getting great benefit from the gene splicing and the gene editing. I keep saying splicing; it's more editing, the CRISPR thing, and also it. I guess it's always visualized with a pair of forceps, little tweezers grabbing at the RNA and DNA of a model. But it's promising. But the price tag, oh my goodness! I know there's one therapy that's for a blood-borne pathogen. It's 1.5 million pounds to get this treatment, and I'm sure as time progresses, as more and more people need this treatment, the price will come down, just like most technologies. But it's just I'm done with it really. But the nice thing, if there is a silver lining, Jeff Orson, is that Jeff Orson music came out of it. You have the ability to turn tragedy, to turn life experience, to turn those ideas into song. Are you writing all of your own songs?
I've co-written a couple, but most, like 98% of the material I write myself. Yeah.
But okay, so you say you're open to work with others. Jeff Orson works well with others. Who have you co-written, co-writing. I'm a wordsmith. I make up
That's all
words.
right. That's
Let me
okay.
just hammer out. Let me
I know
hammer
what
out a
you mean,
thought.
Dan. I've only written with a couple of people, so I think that's maybe not so much by choice, but I think and maybe this comes out of cancer as well, is that cancer, even though you have your friends and whatnot and great medical team and everything around you, it's kind of a solitary thing. Like it's not happening to your neighborhood; it's happening to you, right? And I think probably with music and how I started doing this, it was a pretty solitary place I went to kind of think about it. And I guess that has just kind of carried on over the last few years because for me, it is kind of a solitary thing. I got to know what I feel about a subject, or whether it's funny, or whether it's sad, or whether it's a ballad, or whether it's an up-tempo song, or whatever. But you usually need to be in touch with my own feelings. So that I think that's probably why I don't write with a lot of other people, just for the fact that when it's flowing, and sometimes when it's not, but when it is flowing, it's kind of comes in like a little like spurts and little bit. So I got to just kind of write it down, and I got to go with it with the idea that I have, right? And that's kind of my approach. So perhaps that's why I haven't collabed on so many as other artists, colleagues that I know co-write all the time.
Well, mucho philosophical. We are born alone, and primarily, for the most part, we die alone. So the only person that you could really count on and call that the cynic in me is yourself. You got to start with taking care of yourself, and then you can worry about taking care of your family and your friends and your community, and as it grows out with concentric circles. But you've got to primarily take care of yourself. And if you can live with yourself and create with yourself and be comfortable with yourself, then hey, you're so far ahead of the game. No therapy for this guy. Well, I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe there is.
Maybe the writing's the therapy. I'm not sure.
It's possible. I'm sure of it. I know that these conversations that I have with great people like yourself is very therapeutic for me, because everyone has a story. Everyone has something to teach the next generation, or your current generation. You can teach laterally. There's the old dog does have new tricks to learn. Not that you're an old dog or anything, but I find myself, okay, how come all the classic rock is music that I used to listen to in high school? Why is that classic rock now? Am I getting old? Maybe. But you say that this was a second part of, or a second life for you after that close call, after that hard call. What were you doing previous? What was a young Jeff Orson in Canada? And what part of Canada are you in?
I was in the drinks business.
Drinks. All right.
Yep.
Cocktails. Shake it up. Shaken, not stirred.
Working for a distillery group.
Well, okay, pray tell. I mean, were you doing that in grade school? No, I was talking about a very taught. You said you've always been into music. Were you playing as a kindergartner on the childhood instruments, kind of like I don't know if you're familiar with Jimmy Fallon and all that.
Yeah, my first memories, if we want to go back to a young guy, we lived up in the country. My mother listened to a station that came out of Buffalo called WWOL. We lived in a little white house, which is one of my songs, one of the first songs that ever hit the radio. We had that, and my brother was 10 years my senior, so he started bringing home, like, I don't know, Beatles records and stuff like that. So I was maybe torn between the two of them. I liked them both. So, and then I kind of like yourself talking about, progressive rock and classic rock as I got older. But it was a cousin of mine who, he was a diehard Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison type of a guy. And he played the guitar and the fiddle and the banjo and a bit of mandolin as well. And so he taught me a few chords, on his guitar, and my mom and dad bought me a guitar one year, and I picked it up and put it down, and then I didn't pick it up again until a few years later. But that's kind of some of the musical influences, so pop and country. And but I guess I've always toyed around with music, but never talking on podcasts on Tuesday nights with Dan in Alabama.
I'm in Arkansas, but all right,
Or
close enough.
Arkansas. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
look,
I knew it was an A word.
you know as much geography of the United States as I know of Canada. Okay, I know that part of it is French and part of it is English, and
Yeah.
all of it seems to work somehow. People want to
It
go to
does.
Canada to get their health care, to get their medicine. I'm glad that you have at least that you've got that taken care of. Our political system here so volatile. But you mentioned Johnny Cash. Man, he is part of the $1 Million Quartet. That's a good influence to have if you're going to have any. I mean, this is
Yeah.
he'd probably still be playing with Elvis if Elvis was still around.
You know what? I love Elvis. I mean, Elvis. There's still a reason why they're making movies about Elvis. There's still a reason why people are wanting to go and record at Sun Records at 7 till midnight, Monday to Friday after they close the museum and whatnot. Johnny Cash, the voice, the delivery, his story. It's just pretty amazing. And, of course, I'm a big Hank Williams fan as well. So, I mean, tragic story of how he passed and whatnot. But, boy, if you could put out a quarter of what he did in his few short years, you'd have something to be proud of. So, yeah, I kind of like all that traditional stuff. So, I mean, I listen to everything, but if old country comes on, I don't change the station. I can tell you that.
Well, no, you're talking Hank Sr., and that guy, he lived hard, lived fast, died young, 30 years old. My goodness. The
Very
songs
sad.
that Hank Jr. was singing about his dad were true. That my dad was living hard, and he was going the same path. I think he stopped himself, and he did get to live a little bit longer. But but Hank Sr., he was pop music. He was the radio for the most part in a lot of circles, at least in the South. You turn it on, and it's probably going to be a Hank Williams Sr. song, before he was senior, I guess. But
just a great entertainer, and I loved his music.
yeah. I mean, if you're going to be influenced by the old timies, by the greats. There's a reason why we still listen to that music. We still sing that music. I do karaoke shows every Friday night over at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Shameless plug. And people will more often than not, at least one Hank Williams Senior song will come out. A couple of junior songs, once a few more cocktails come out, all my rowdy friends are coming over tonight, but oh man, I do enjoy some good music, some good old timey music, and you're well influenced by that. Like I said, you have a lot of faith-based music. Were you raised in the church? Did you sing in a choir? It's but because judging by the tracks that I've heard, it sounds like you have that in your background, in your core.
I never really sang in the church, and my family was never overly religious. But I guess that maybe comes out from some of the music that I've listened to, and also I wrote some of those songs during COVID. Faith and Pray. Strange story about Pray was. I had a colleague of mine who has a news magazine that he's a publisher of, and when COVID came on, he said, we need an anthem for COVID, and I said, and I write country songs. I don't know if I can write an anthem for COVID. So anyway, I went away and I came out with the song "Pray." Which I sent him the chorus and the I sent him the chorus and the first verse, and he said, "You got to finish it." So I'm like, "Okay." So I did, and then it got played everywhere during COVID, and I had people writing me from your part of the country, saying, "Jeff, we have these block parties on Friday nights, and we put your song on and play it to the neighborhood." It got played as far away as New Zealand and and in the Middle East. It just was crazy, right? It blew up. And that was basically about, about the early days of COVID. And then I followed it up with Faith and again, another kind of COVID-based song because we were all locked down and whatnot. And it was kind of a pretty dark time when people were sadly dying and whatnot. So I guess it kind of came out of that because the world was in a bad place, if you recall. Yeah, I turned out those, and then I just kept on writing some of those songs like that, some ballads and whatnot, and then you turn out Bootleggers or Country Going On or some of those songs like that, which are just kind of fun little songs that you write with a couple of ideas. And the next thing you know, you've got a song together that you hope people will enjoy.
Well, I can see why people forgot about the flu pandemic of 1918, because the flu pandemic of 2020 or 2019, I want to forget it already. And it's only a few short years ago. But sure. I know it was a shared experience, and a lot of creators like yourself created something, were inspired by that shared experience. There's movies about it. There's comic routines about it. There's songs about it. There's books about it. And you created one of those songs, and it seemed to resonate with not only people in your area, but people across this country, across the whole of North America. Did you get how far in the Middle East as well?
Yeah. Where was it? It was Dubai. Yeah, Dubai played it. And then I got all through the States, California, Mississippi, Kentucky, a lot of southern markets picked it up, right? And to tell you the truth, obviously COVID's long been over, but I'm still seeing plays for Prey long after I released it. There's stations that play it every week in northern Canada and then in the United States as well. So I guess it resonates. I guess the lyrics resonate with different people in different circumstances, and they're not at all related to COVID, which is great. If you can reach people even after the hoopla is gone with something and they still really enjoy the song or the message, then that's what art is, right? I look at something and I see a shade of blue a little different than somebody else. And you write something down and some people take one thing from it, some people take another. I guess that's the beauty of art.
Well, a good song is a good song. And if you're like me, if the program director on an independent radio station is anything like me, if they come up with a good song, a song that they like, they put it on the playlist, it is rarely going to come off of that playlist. RadioWhat.com, I'm looking at the music here, and it's got 40,000 songs on the playlist in different little categories that will, but my new artists have their own category, and those play at least twice an hour, sometimes 4 times an hour. You'll get an independent new artist to come out on RadioWhat.com. But then you also get the Billboard Top 40 as well, because I'm inspired by all of it. I enjoy all kinds of music, but I know the through line of this podcast over the last little bit. I know it's been stuck in my head. Have all the songs been written? Is all the chord progression? There's only so many ways you could put chords together. Is it all done? And the only thing that you have is putting the poetry and the nuances on top of those chords. You know, the da 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 makes you happy, da 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 makes you sad. You know, so you have those chord progressions. Are there any new ways to put these chords together?
Well, I think everybody is trying to do that, or some people are, but I think there's only seven major chords and some sharps and some flats. So you're relatively limited within the kind of boundaries of country or pop music. And if you're writing for country radio, which I do, you got to be somewhere around, I mean, ballads sell, but not as much as songs that are 90, 95 beats a minute. They got to be 3 minutes and 30 seconds or shorter. They have to have, 10 to 15 minute intro. Like there's a lot of rules for radio, for popular radio. And so I think that for kind of non-commercial music that you're writing for yourself or for people who want to listen to alternative songs when maybe they're 5, 7 minutes or something like that, not radio based, but certainly artistically valid, that you can do all kinds of things. But if you're kind of sticking to a format where you're going to be on popular country radio, indie radio, Sirius 56, that type of thing, there's a certain sound and a certain timing and everything. And if you're outside that timing, you might not get played. It might be great music, but you might not get played. So I don't think I don't think it's within my kind of toolkit to be able to do anything too crazy as far as chord progressions and different things. But try and change it up and keep it as fresh as possible.
I started on college radio back in '86, where I had a lot of control over the music that I was playing, to the three guys in the dorm room down the way. And then as time progressed, I went to country stations and rock stations, and some stations were owned by people that had 200 plus stations in the country or in the world. Megas. And then some had maybe one or two, the mom and pops. Now, I loved working at the mom and pops. It's still terrestrial. It was still in Miami, Florida, which was number 12 market, where potentially millions.
Miami played a number of times. It's a great market. It's a great music market.
Potentially hundreds of thousands, maybe even 1 million people were listening. And one of the stations would transmit so far. The one in Key West, or Summerlin Key, close to Key West, would go to Cuba. So we'd get to hit the free Cubans out there listening to transistor radios, and we'd get letters from the Cubans listening to that music. So that was jazz, and we could play pretty much what we wanted. We were playing salsa, merengue, disco, freestyle. Those were our 4 tent poles. Now, the country stations that I was at, those were bigger stations, but I did get to go and play with a lot of major country artists. No name dropping. The only major country artist I'm going to talk about right now is Jeff Orson. But I appreciate the control that a DJ in the studio or in a station has. We, as a DJ, we're kind of losing that control. It's always a fight between the DJs and the sales staff, and then the management has got to be over top of both of them, making sure, okay, yes, we can play this kind of music, but we got to have those commercials play, so we can pay to keep the lights on. It's just, it's a balance. It's all a balance.
It's not show fun. It's show business, sadly.
I've heard that one before. I like that. I like that a lot.
It's true. It's very true. There's that's the thing, right? I mean, when I first started playing gigs and bars and things like that, and open mics and whatnot, if you had a listening crowd, that's great. But most places, you were entertainment to sell beer and food. And if you were getting a percentage of the door, the gross of the evening, you want people to drink and eat and have fun and probably watch sports and do anything except sing along with you, because you were making money, and so was the house. Now, that's kind of a sad commentary, but it was true. And some nights it's kind of like, no one's listening. I think they appreciate that there's music here, and they're very happy, and they're putting money in the tip jar, so that's great. But I always looked at it as a paid practice. And then you have places let's say in Hollywood and LA or whatever, where you're in a room and you're playing and the lights come on and it's like there's like, I don't know, 90 people and they're all staring at you. And it's like, okay, you got your wish. You got a whole crowd and they're all sitting here. What are you going to do? You're going to entertain them or you're going to make mistakes? You're going to lose your cool or whatever. So that's just the nature of the music business.
Well, there's a little bit of all of that. And I believe that those people that were in that restaurant, in that bar, they were listening. If that music would have cut off, they would have turned and really looked at you. You would have had their full attention. So I'm guessing that you being in that corner, adding that ambiance, giving that groove, changing people's minds. They've worked hard all week. They took the time to get off of their couches, away from their big screen TVs. And maybe partially they came out to see Jeff Orson. Partially maybe to have a couple drinky poos.
Maybe, yeah, absolutely. But hey, that's how it is. It's just when you're a name, like if you're whoever, Chris Stapleton or somebody, well, you're going to have 5 million people lined up to have your autograph. But I've read his early stories as well, and it wasn't all smooth for him when he started either. I mean, he had a record deal, and then the record deal, and he had a record that he didn't release, and then he wrote a bunch of hits for other people. So, I mean, there's an amazing talent, and it wasn't a cakewalk. I mean, obviously he's super famous now and an amazing artist, but I think it's hard I think it can be hard for a lot of people to find an audience and hang on to them.
Yeah, often those overnight successes take about 20 years to go overnight.
Isn't that true?
It's hard work. It's this business it's a business because it is a business. You got to work. People think that it's going to be easy. Oh, you're a movie star. Oh, what do you do? Just sit around? Well, it took a while to figure out how to memorize lines and do lines in a certain way. When I went to broadcast school, they gave me some acting lessons, and I was like, "Why are you doing this?" Well, because when you're on the radio or when you're on stage, even as a DJ on stage or even as a musician on stage, you're doing some kind of acting. I'm sure if you're doing a show and you're really getting into the groove, you're telling people stories between the songs. If you got their attention, you're going to tell them that story about Prey. You're going to tell them that story about Bootlegger that we're going to come up with in the next few minutes. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about Bootlegger and how it came about and all the little rhymes. But I want to talk about, the bootlegger in you. You said that you were part of the drinking business, the distillery business. Is that still a big part of your life, or was it a big part of your life?
Yeah, I guess a big part. I think probably that's a great question. In fact, I think that's probably one of the best ones I've ever had, because I don't really talk about much other than my music. But I think probably when I was younger, I grew up very humble beginnings. We didn't have a lot of money, out in the middle of nowhere, and very rural. My dad worked in a mill. My mom was a homemaker and whatnot. So I think there was a long time when I wanted to get out of poverty and be successful, and that I guess, depending on how you classify success, I guess that happened. So I think I really identified with that profession. But I would say now that after the whole cancer thing, which was kind of a sad, terrifying thing, but also a very liberating thing, because once somebody tells you, once you come to terms with the fact that you might not be here, this sounds crazy, but it's rather liberating in the fact that you start to dial in what things are really, really important. And I think probably identify more now with the creative side of things and writing music and going on the radio and doing all that type of stuff. I think probably I found I'm a lot more comfortable in my skin with that than I was maybe with my profession now. So I think that's it's kind of changed my life. It's changed my life. And I don't know, I never used to think about sitting around thinking about, hey, there's a there's a line in that, or I heard someone say a phrase in a restaurant and I write it down, or I sing it into my phone, like in my recorder, or all these different things, right? Like it just changed a lot of things for me. So which for the positive. So which I'm very happy. So I'm kind of still enjoying the music thing. Maybe not the music business so much, but that's a necessary evil. But still enjoying the music thing and the creative process.
There's songs about that concept exactly that you're talking about. One lady sings two songs that I could think of on Friday night. She sings "Live Like You Were Dying." Okay.
Oh yeah, that you know what, a friend of mine who was sick with a different form of cancer, sang that, and that's an amazing song. It's an amazing song.
Yeah, and the other one is "Drink a Beer," which is along the same lines. Where you lose somebody and you just sit and you just think about that person. And I'm glad that you're here, Jeff Orson, because you could have gone a different route. But you said you went medicine was what helped you. Did you do to dig a little deeper into that and maybe bring up bad memories? But was it what treatment helped you? And I'm not saying that you're going to offer medical advice. I'm just saying what helped you to overcome the cancer that you had.
I think probably, I think early detection. If I hadn't had that and let things go longer, then probably I would have had a different prognosis. And two was laparoscopic, pretty non-invasive surgery, because the tumor hadn't gotten too large and invaded my lymph nodes and stuff. So between early detection, which they're saying here now, anybody over 50 should go and get checked. And you know what? Here's the thing. There's nothing better than someone telling you don't have cancer.
Yes.
Right? Like there isn't. So like everyone's like, I don't want to go and do that. I don't want to do the test. I don't want to be knocked out. And I'm like, yeah, it is a bit of a pain, but at the end of the day, if it can save your life, I'd probably say you want to do that. And then two, the surgery, I was very fortunate. I had a great surgeon, and they removed, what was it now? I think it was about 9 inches of my colon. So and then resectioned it. So so I was fortunate that way that it hadn't spread. And then I got some to check to see what the chances, like were there any cancer cells left, because there's all kinds of tests that you can do now to find out what your probabilities of are a reoccurrence. So I was pretty fortunate with that. So had some great docs, some great people around me, and got it early. Yeah, but early detection, that would be my thing to other people. And I've done shows for Canadian cancer, for raising money and awareness. I've done shows for U.S. cancer in San Francisco, U.S. Cancer Society, big fundraiser there. And that's always been kind of my thing is get checked.
Yeah.
You save your life.
Yeah, my mom always says it's the game that she's playing. But another great thing about living in Canada is you can go to the doctor without too much problem. Now, the nice thing about having a day job here in the United States is that most day jobs, or a lot of the day jobs, all the ones that I've ever worked at, will offer health benefits for in exchange for part of your service, your work. So people have a day job. Pretty much all the entertainers that I talk to, the independent entertainers that I talk to, have some kind of a day job that affords you the steady paycheck, the ability to have some insurance, and the ability to do what you love at night. Okay, maybe that may or may not drain you in the daytime, but you got the nighttime to look forward to and play for the people. Now, are you completely done with the day job? Are you retired from that?
No. Still working away at that.
Love it.
So that's still ticking along. But Yeah, I guess it's what you said. Still, still enjoying both, but
Yes.
loving doing the music.
Yes. Now, okay, the music. You say you're doing open mics and some bars, and where can people find you? Do you have a regular gig or something lined up in the near future?
I don't. I've had the good fortune to. I've had the good fortune to play a lot of places in the world, um, all over the world actually. So I started out doing that. I haven't been really playing too much. The last place I played was in Rome, in Italy, back in March. That was kind of awesome. What a nice crowd there. So try and kind of get out and do the international thing whenever I can. And then if there's a festival or something like that around that I can get into, that's kind of cool as well. But I've been doing a lot of writing and a lot of radio work. But with this new song, I'm going to play some places this fall. And then, of course, you can always find me on jefforsonmusic.com.
Yeah, well, how'd that happen, Jeff Orson? How'd you get to play all over the world? Who? I mean, everybody knows the music business is
I
awesome.
guess I used to. I had a really great road manager, and wherever I was traveling, he always found me work. So it was pretty amazing. Some of the stories he came up with. And it was just a great a period. So I still obviously work with him, but that's how it was. Someone always found me a show, and as I said, a lot of these things happen. Getting on the radio and whatnot. They were kind of accidents. Honestly, some of them were accidents, right? But and then I guess some of them were more structured and planned, but it's all kind of worked out, and I'm pretty happy with it, right? I never thought I'd be number one on anybody's list of indie charts or anything else. I never thought I'd be on the radio. I never thought of anything like that. So for me, I'm kind of happy with everything that's happened,
Yeah.
and I don't think I could have planned it better, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's nice that you have a team. It's nice that you have people in your corner to help you find gigs. So what you're saying is that you're a traveling man anyway, and you were traveling all over this great globe of ours. Or is it a flat Earth? I don't know. People are still up in the air on that one.
I wouldn't want. There's people who believe in both, and I'm like, whatever you like.
Come on, everybody knows it's flat. Okay, but but you're all over this globe of ours, and man, it sounds like you had an agent that had contacts throughout the planet, all over. But what are the gigs you're playing? And the crowds are all saying Jeff Orson. Well, who's that guy? Well, let me get a ticket. Let's go find out who that guy is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I as I said, a lot of it was by accident, and it just kind of happened. But man, there's a lot of stories there. But let's talk about Bootlegger.
Well, no, hit me with one story from around the world, one concert that
Okay.
you had something
Okay,
happen,
no problem.
and
No
then we'll
problem.
do the
This is
bootlegger.
close to home. This is in the U.S. So
Okay.
sure. I was in the U.S. No, I'll tell you this one. This is even crazier. Okay, so I was in where was it now? I was in Singapore. And so I was staying at this hotel, and so I was talking to the guy who's helped me manage shows and stuff like that. And he said, the craziest thing happened. I met the concierge at your hotel. I said, oh, that's nice, right? Well, that's good. And, always nice to meet different people. And he says, in Singapore, live music is a big deal. Like if you're having a wedding or stuff, you're not having a DJ. You're going to have live music. It's just the way it is. If you go to a golf course, like a golf and country club, they're having some form of live entertainment, not pre-recorded music for the most part. Even bars, like any kind of bars, is live music. So it's a big live music market. And he said, I was talking to him, and he knows so many clubs and club owners and everything. Like, he was totally connected. I think I can find you some shows. So I'm like, okay, well, that's great. So I won't go through all of them, but very funny story. So anyway, I go to this place, and it's dart night in Singapore, okay, and everybody's playing darts, like the whole place, 200 people, they're all playing darts, okay, but there's a whole stage and a house band there. And so I show up, and he says, just go and see this fella, and I said, they like country music? He says, they love country music. They've got a great house band, and I've set you up for a set. Just show up there, give them your name, tell them how, da 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 da. So I walked up, and so I got with the band, and the band was an amazing house band that within 2 seconds they were playing my songs because they were just so good, right? So anyway, I played a set, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, thank you very much, and the bar owner's like, no, people are all still drinking and they're playing darts, and now they're listening to you in between playing darts. So he says, don't stop. So I'm like, okay. So we went on for another 2 sets, and it was just like it went on all night, right? So it turned on from this, unexpected, very nice, polite, Jeff, go and play a few songs with the house band, which they were amazing, amazing guys. To, oh no, can you come back again on Thursday, right? And like it was just like that was an amazing story, right? And the audience and a different culture, and it was pretty dialed in. And the playing with that caliber of instrumentalists was pretty amazing, right?
Well, you had a bunch of
that was one of my from the road stories.
Yeah, you had a bunch of Singaporeans with sharp objects in their hands. If you would have stopped playing, some of them could have turned towards you.
It could have gone bad. You're right.
That's what I was thinking.
You're right, Dan.
Where I was thinking this story was leading to. All right, my man. They've been waiting long enough. My loyal listeners out there going, what is this Bootleggers? I think I've heard of the song. Well, tell me about Bootleggers, your latest offering, Jeff Orson.
Sure. Well, happy to. So Bootleggers, I had a friend of mine, and I'll tell you like the brief, shortened down version of it because thinking about time. So a friend of mine who came from another country came to Canada, and he was quite poor when he started off, but has been very, very successful here, and it's a wonderful story. But anyway, he didn't have a lot of money when he came here, so he and his friends built a little still and started distilling, making plum brandy on the balcony. And that story just stayed with me for, I don't know why, who knows. And then, I started reading. I've always had a fascination with Prohibition and how that kind of all started, right? And then some of the television shows on bootlegging in the southern United States, and just like the whole liquor business, right? And so that song came out of that whole melange of the home still on the balcony and moonshining. And all those different things kind of came together, and that's how it started with a line: "We cook corn in a still in the Tennessee hills." And I don't think it was Tennessee at that time. I think it was, I don't know, maybe Alabama or something like that. Maybe Arkansas. I can't remember. But we landed on Tennessee because obviously there's some great products made in that state. But anyway. And then it just kind of evolved from there. And that's what most of them do. If I sit down to write a story about a beautiful vase of flowers, forget it, man. I get a line, and then the next thing you know, we had Bootleggers, right? So that's the new single. That's how it came about.
Well, I appreciate all the songs and the movies. You Smokey and the Bandit, Dukes of Hazzard. Those are the southern ones, and I think Elliot Ness and Al Capone.
I think it's a melange of all those things. Sure.
Oh yeah, but tell me about the rhyming that you did with Bootleggers. What kind of rhymes? What rhymes with Bootlegger?
Well, there wasn't a whole lot, right? And so, I started to think about it, and that was a part like I always highlight in yellow where I need to put in a line, and I'll put in a word like, I don't know, bootlegger, together, just something like that in there, just as a filler, right, to hold that place. And I was sitting there and I thought to myself, and then, I guess Arnold came out with that 3-part Netflix series and whatnot and had a lot of publicity last year about it. And I thought, bootlegger, packs a punch that's harder than Schwarzenegger, right? And I played it. I thought, oh my God, is that kind of crazy? But I played it for my producer, Matt O'Rourke. And he said, are you crazy? I love it, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's where it went from there.
Well, this is something that you have to send to the governor, especially I did hear quite a few podcasts from late last year. He had the book out. He was talking about his farm animals that come into his kitchen and eat cookies. Oh my gosh, the cookies. But I wish, his politics, man. I wish he could become president because he's got a lot of good ideas, and his popularity, he can reach across both sides of the aisles to where he could kind of bring, even if you don't like how he's thinking on this, he was so good in that movie though. So let's let him have it, but he just can't be president because he was born in another country. Sad state of affairs.
Absolutely.
But Schwarzenegger, you need to send this song to the governor and see what he thinks about it. You may get a response. You may get a video response from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm putting it out to the world. I'm putting it out there, Jeff Orson. You might go play at the Schwarzenegger compound in California. All right, my man. Well,
wouldn't that be great? But,
there we go. Let's wind this thing down. I know I've taken about an hour of your time. We got to know a little bit about you. I encourage people to go to that jefforson.com or what is it, jefforsonmusic.com. I'm looking at it right here out of the corner of my eye. And it gives you all the links to your Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think it's X now. I still have the Twitter logo on my website as well.
Is. I just, they always say X, formerly known as Twitter.
I know.
So I didn't want to do that, so I just left it as.
So you could, that's a good thing for Elon Musk is he gets to talk about it twice because it's not just X, it's X, formerly known as Twitter. But I keep telling Elon, stop trying to make X a thing. It's Twitter, man. It's Twitter. Everybody knows that it's tweeting. You don't X me. X me sounds like a dirty thing. Don't do that. Don't do that. But let's wind this thing down. You've given a couple of shout outs, shout outs, but not in name. You want to give some shout outs to people that have helped you along the way, some people that have helped you get to this level.
Sure. Some great shout outs to, I guess I would say Chris Partland, who is a great Canadian artist who was a touring musician back in the 80s, early 90s. I mean, he's still playing and whatnot, but had a few hits then and a wonderful guy who really encouraged me. And then I guess, I get my engineer who's kind of been with me, and he's more than an engineer, Adam Fair, who's helped me along the way. I'd say Dana and Dave, two people I first co-wrote that song with that ended up in Nashville. So, I mean, there's been a whole lot of different people, but those are 2 or 3 shout-outs. And then I guess to Robert Moody, my radio, one of my radio tracker guys, and Stephen Brady at Blue Shamrock and J.K. Coltrane, and there's a list of people who got my stuff around and have got me work and some interviews and stuff. So to all those people, and I guess most importantly, the people who write me and say, I felt like this and I didn't know how to say it, but you know how to say it, and I can't believe someone else felt the same way as I did. So I guess all the people who listened or have listened, thank you.
No,
and to you for obviously having me on here.
No, but it's amazing when you create something and it resonates with someone and they take the time out to write you a letter, to give you a little note, to let you know how they felt. Now, what really would make it even that much better if they went to one of your shows and found you at your merch table, if you have one, or found you after the show and said, hey, that song really connected with me. I was in a bad place, or I was in a good place, and that made me even better. Or, whatever feeling that something that you created, that's got to make you feel jazzed. That's got to make you feel so good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I always finish these things off with.
I would say that's for sure.
I always finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, a mantra that you wake up with every morning, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Jeff Orson of Jeff Orson Music.
Sure.
Give the last words for the people.
Early detection. Make sure you go and get checked for all forms of cancer. It can save your life. And 2, my kind of fun saying is, there isn't anything new in this world except the history you don't know.
Well, there you have it, party people. Jeff Orson. JeffOrsonMusic.com. Oh, my goodness. What a story. Yeah, I always say, everyone's got a story to tell. Jeff Orson, you got a story. Yeah, you started out liking music. Yeah, you started out, liking listening to different kinds of music, from the Beatles to Hank Williams. But then you got the cancer. Okay, that changed your life. But you went through it. You fought through it. You got through it. I'm done with cancer. No more cancer. Whatever it takes, man. Find the magic pill to cure that cancer. Find that gene edit that cures cancer. But I'm glad you made it through, man, and you took that hardship, that pain, and you gave good advice. Go to the doctor regularly. I wish I could take that advice. I need to take that advice. Now that I'm over 50 myself, I need to take that advice. I do go. I am on a bunch of pills for various heart, blood pressure ailments, but and I do. I guess because of that, I keep up with the doctor. I don't know if they're checking for cancer, and knock on wood, that I don't get it. But I'm glad you made it through, man. I'm glad you're here, and thank you so much for that great conversation and opening up about that, man. It's hard that you have to relive it kind of in your head when you're talking about it, but you could be helping other people to save their lives as well, Jeff Orson, as well as changing their minds and making them feel different kinds of things through your music, writing your own music. 90% of that music is written by Jeff Orson. And we didn't really go through the little 10% who wrote those or who helped you with those. But anyway, that's for another time. Just follow Jeff Orson on JeffOrsonMusic.com and follow him on his socials and find out where he's going to be. You be Jeff Orson's stalker. How about that? Thanks again, Jeff Orson, for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast. Now, if you, yes, you, my loyal listener, if you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's keysdan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.